Welcome back to Jules Math Tools, where math is made easy. In this session, we are calculating the quotient of our numbers when we have a single-digit dividend and we're leaving our answer as a decimal number. And this is part 2 in this session. So if you are ready to see how this is done, let's get started. So in our session, we're going to be calculating the quotient of our numbers when we have a single-digit dividend and we're leaving our answer as a decimal number. So we're going to first start off by always converting our division question into its division bracket form. Remember that 6 is your divisor, so the divisor is always written on the outside and the dividend is written on the inside. So let's begin. We're dividing 6 into 8, which equals to 1 group. So we're going to multiply our 1 times 6, which gives us the quotient of 6. When 8 subtracts 6, we have a difference of 2. At this point, we're going to now add in our decimal point behind our dividend, behind our quotient, 0. Bring down that 0, change our 2 into 20. 6 will divide into 20 3 times. 3 times 6 gives us the product of 18. We have 18 subtract 20. When 20 subtract 18, we'll get a difference of 2. I'm going to add one more 0. Bring down that 0, changing 2 into 20 again. And if you remember from the first session that we watched, I spoke about us having our recurring numbers where our division pattern just keeps repeating itself and we're caught in an endless loop. You can see that that is happening here with our 6 and our 3 and our 20. The numbers are repeating themselves, so I'm going to stop at this point. Remember, I told you with your recurring number, you can either add a dash above the number that's repeating, or you can add a dot. So for this one, I will be including a dot above my number to indicate that it is repeating. So my quotient for this question will equal to 1 and 33 hundredths. And remember to include that dot above the 3. That signifies that 3 is a repeating or a recurring number. So let's go to our second example. So we're going to be dividing 7 into our dividend of A. 7 will divide into 8 ones. We have 1 times 7 is equal to 7. 8 minus 7 gives us a difference of 1. We're going to now add in our decimal point. Add in our 0. Bring down the 0, changing our 1 into 10. 7 will divide into 10 ones. 1 times 7 gives us a difference, gives us the product of 7. We have 10 minus 7 gives us a difference of 3. Now, here's a little thing that I want to point out to you when it comes to 7. 7 is one of those numbers typically that you will find yourself dividing by that will give you a non-terminating decimal number. That means that you will continue dividing. The numbers will be changing, but you will continue dividing and you will kind of continue dividing. So 7 is one of those numbers that you will divide by, that you will typically have to leave your answer to a particular decimal point. Unless you're indicated that you are to continue dividing, which in most cases with 7 won't happen unless the number divides out completely. But you may be asked to leave your answer, to 1 decimal point, 2 decimal point, or 3 decimal points. So for this question, after I'm done dividing by 4, after I'm done dividing using 4, I will stop my division at this point. So we'll have 4 times 7, which will give us 28. When 30 subtracts 28, we will have a difference of 2. I remember that I stated before on one of the earlier videos that when you were dividing, if you have a remainder, please do not do this. That is incorrect. Remember that when you do or when you write the 2 in your answer, the 2 is no longer a remainder. It is actually a part of your quotient, and that is incorrect. So if you are going to include the 2 in your answer, which you don't have to if you were asked to leave your answer as a decimal, you will write that as a remainder 2. Do not include the 2 at the end of your answer with 4. It is not a part of the answer and it should not be written in. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So our quotient for this question will be 1 and 1400. And I'm going to indicate that that's the 2 decimal places. And the reason why I'm indicating that that's the 2 decimal places because there is a difference between saying that my answer is the 2 decimal places and just saying that my answer is just 1 and 1400. 1 and 1400 without the 2 decimal places written. So I'll erase this quickly. So if I was to write my answer and just leave it as is, just like this is telling your teacher or the person marking your paper that your answer was divided out completely. That means you had no remainder and there was nothing left over. So remember that there's a difference between saying this and indicating that this is the 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places tells me that you could have divided on a little bit more, but you stopped your answer after the second digit behind the decimal point. Okay, so remember there is a difference between the two, and if there is a remainder, always indicate that your answer was stopped to a certain decimal point. So let's move on to our next two examples. So we are dividing 8 into 8, and 8 will divide into itself once. We will have 1 times 8. And remember that you still can do this process if you need it. If you don't feel completely okay with that, so we have 1 as my whole number. And remember that we can write 1 in its decimal form by simply including 0 behind the decimal point, and this would be our 1 as a decimal number. And for our last example, we are using 9 to divide into 8. So 9 can't divide into 8 since 8 is smaller than 9. So that will be 0. We will have 0 times 9, which will equal to 0. 8 minus 0 is equal to 8. Just like we did before, add in your decimal point behind both numbers, the dividend and the quotient. Add your 0, bring down the 0, change 8 into 80. 9 divides into 80 8 times. We will have 8 times 9, which is equal to 72. When 80 subtracts 72, we will have a difference of 8. We're going to add another 0, bring down that 0, and as you can tell that this is also going to be another reoccurring number. So 9 divides into 80 8 times. Again, 8 times 9 will give us 72. When 72 is subtracted from 80, we will have a difference of 8. So just like I did before, I'm going to indicate that my 8 is a recurring number and indicate that my answer is 88 hundredths, or you can say 0 and 88 hundredths. They both mean the same thing, and I'm going to stop there for my division for today. Okay, so I hope this session was very helpful to you in terms of converting your quotient into its decimal form. Remember to pay a little attention to those little tips that I give you as we went through our question. And when you practice questions or even perform division of your own in your classroom, remember to always, 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 I stress, practice the questions and not shy away from the division. It's only with practice are you going to become better. So until next time, this is Jules Math Tools, where the goal is always to make math easy.